Welcome to the e-learning channel of Balurghat Mohila Mahavidyalaya. Today our subject matter is integumentary system, that is structure, function and derivatives of integument in amphibia, birds and mammals. As per the syllabus of University of Gaur-Bongo, this is for second semester zoology honor students and this is in DC4 Unit 1. Integument is the outer protective covering of an animal. It is the structural and functional interface between an organism and its environment. It is composed of two basic layers of tissue, that is epidermis and dermis. Epidermis contains the melanocytes, that is responsible for the skin color, and the dermis contains two layers, the papillary layer and the reticular layer, and it also contains the glands, follicles, connective tissue, etc. The deepest layer, that is hypodermis, is composed of adipose tissue. So, it is the protective covering, I have already said, that acts as the body's first line of defense. It protects our internal living tissues, organs, and has the multiple functions in maintaining body's equilibrium, that is homeostasis. It can protect our body from dehydration, from any invasive infectious organisms, and it can protect our internal living organs and tissues. It can generate vitamin D. It can store fat, vitamin D and glucose. It acts as a receptor for pressure, pain, cold, heat, etc. So there are several functions that are performed by our integument. Integument is the outer protective covering of an animal. It is the structural and functional interface between the organism and its environment. The integument is composed of two major layers, that is epidermis and dermis. Epidermis is thin, outer stratified epithelial layer derived from ectoderm, but dermis is thick inner layer derived from mesoderm. Epidermis is the outermost layer, providing the initial barrier to the external environment. It is derived from somatic ectoderm. In contrast, the dermis is generally much thicker than epidermis and it lies more deeply. So it is called the inner layer. It is made up of fibrous mass of connective tissue, that is collagen, and this is of mesodermal origin. There are 5 distinct sublayers of epidermis, that is stratum corneum, stratum lucidum, stratum granulosum, stratum spinosum and stratum basal. So stratum corneum is the outermost layer and made up of 25 to 30 layers of dead, flat keratinocytes. Stratum lucidum is only found in the fingertips, palms of hand and soles of feet. Stratum granulosum is made up of 3 to 5 layers of keratinocytes. It is the site of keratin formation. Stratum spinosum appears covered in thorn-like spikes. It can provide strength and flexibility to the skin. Stratum basale is the deepest layer of epidermis. It is made up of a single layer of cuboidal or columnar cells. Cells produced here are constantly divide and move up to apical surface. So this picture clearly demonstrates the layer of epidermis and the inner layer, that is dermis. And there is also another layer, that is hypodermis. It is known as the subcutaneous layer. It invaginates into the dermis by collagen and elastin fiber. It acts as an energy reserve. Integumentary system has multiple roles in maintaining body's equilibrium. Its function include protection against invasion of infectious organisms, protection against sunburn, protection of the internal tissues and organs. It can maintain the body's form. It can generate vitamin D. It stores fat, water, glucose. It has multiple role in homeostasis. That is, it has role in temperature change, dehydration, etc. In details, the epidermis has some function. The stratum corneum consists of dead cells which is rich in keratin. Keratin is a protein that provides a waterproof covering. So the epidermis provide waterproof covering. The stratum germinativum undergoes continuous cell division. It constantly reproduces and replaces the cell. There are melanocytes also in the epidermis. The function of melanocyte is production of melanin that affect skin color. What is the major function of intact skin? That is protection. Protection is the first and last word in integumentary system. The continuous replacement of cells is important to allow quick repair in an injury. There are some functions of dermis. Dermis contains blood vessels that regulate body temperature. I have said earlier that integumentary system has a role in maintaining homeostasis of our body. It can store glucose, water, salts also. It contains nerve or pain receptors, hair follicles, oil and sweat glands. So there are some integumentary derivatives also. To survive in an atmosphere, each and every animal has to experience either interspecific or intraspecific struggles to protect themselves from their environment or such kind of interactions. Animals need some derivative structural part. The amphibian skin also have some glandular structures. It loses dermal scales. It has epidermal multicellular glands. The epidermal glands embedded in the dermis of amphibians. All of the glands are alveolar. There are some glands in the next slide. This is a simple alveolar gland, and this is the compound alveolar gland, and it is a compound tubulo-alveolar gland. Amphibian epidermis has 5 to 7 layers of cells formed from basal stratum germinativum. In the previous slide, the picture shows you the section of an amphibian skin. This is the stratum corneum, and this is the transitional layer, stratum basal, mucus gland, poison gland. These are situated in dermis, and stratum corneum contains Leydig cells to resist entry of bacteria and viruses. Typical mucus glands are smaller than granular glands and enclosed completely in the stratum spongiosum. The secretions produced by the integumentary glands in amphibia include numerous complex biogenic amine and active polypeptides. The feathers are epidermal growth that form the distinctive outer covering of plumage in birds. It has vein. This picture shows you the barbule with hooks, barbule without hooks, the quill, the hollow shaft, rachis. They are formed in tiny follicles in the epidermis that produce keratin proteins. Feathers are characteristics of birds only. They can develop from highly specialized cornified epidermis. Some fossilized reptiles were having feathers. So, feathers in birds are mainly originated from reptiles. True hairs is formed in mammals, and it's primarily composed of keratin. Only mammals among the animal would have hair, but in some cases the hairy coat has practically disappeared and only some of them remains. In the adult of some of the larger whales, For example, only a few coarse, stubby hairs are present in the snout region. Hair is entirely epidermal in origin, developing from the layer of keratin in most of the mammals. During development, a small thickening of the epidermis which is to become the hair follicle. From this hair follicle, the hair rises, pushes down into the dermis and finally becomes a depression which looks like a cup. The hair follicle constitutes the dermal papilla, and the blood vessel in the papilla brings nourishment to the epidermal cells of the stratum germinativum. Hair follicles usually are formed in the single manner. In human, an additional follicle develops on either side of the original one. As a result of keratinization, the follicle undergoes a change so as to form a central shaft. You can see the hair shaft, the sebaceous gland, the hair follicle. So the hair shaft is surrounded by two layers of cells which do not extend beyond the limit of the follicle. Huxley's layer is inner layer of the sheath. Henle's layer is the outer one. The hair shaft is entirely cellular and is composed of a central core, medulla, a middle core, cortex, and the outer covering of the scaly cells, the cuticle. So there are antlers and horns which are present in mammals. Different groups of mammals acquire different kind of protection by various means. The skin, together with the underlying bone, contribute both through horns and antlers. As these structures take shape, the underlying bone rises up, carrying the overlying integument with it. This is the structure of antler and this is the structure of horn. Here is the core. You can see here is the core, the skin, and the horn and antler is present over the skull. True antlers occur only in members of the cervidae, that is deer, moose, yak. Typically, only males have antlers, which are branched and shed annually. These are considered as a notable exceptions. Among caribou, both sexes have seasoned antlers. In deer, the antlers usually consist of a main core from which branch arises, the tip of which is pointed. In case of horns, we can see there is no branch. Among mammals, true horns are found among members of the family Bovidae, that is cattle, antelope, sheep, goat, etc. Commonly, horns occur in both males and females and are retained throughout the year. It grows and continues to grow throughout the life of the individual. The horn is unbranched and formed of a bony core and a keratinized sheath. The horn as a exoskeletal structure is the toughest one, and this toughness is a contribution of a specialized keratin protein. This protein has a special structure and is able to be oxidized to make a very hard structure. You can see horn versus antlers. The single protrusions that I have said, there is no branch in case of horn. It grows throughout the animal's life and are never shed. It is made up of bone covered by a keratin sheath. But in case of antlers, they are branched, made entirely of bone, extension of the animal's skull, shed and regrown in a larger size each year. So, I hope you can understand the whole topic. Thank you.